Hello and welcome back to the Cinema in Space. I'm James and I'm going to talk to you about something that's been kind of bothering me a little bit. I don't know why, it's been in the back of my mind and I feel like I want to get out now. I want to talk about the Starship Troopers series as a whole. Now, most people know, personally, people who know me, Starship Troopers is one of my favorite books ever written. And Robert Heinlein is my favorite author. And ironically enough, I saw the movie before I read the book. I was in elementary school and I was in love with the movie as a kid. And I actually knew there was a book. I just couldn't find it anywhere when I was younger. And then, I remember I looked up the movie. I was trying to research it and all that stuff. I was in 5th grade, I think. And I was online. I clicked some stuff. And then I saw this really weird picture. It said Starship Troopers and it had, these people parachuting down. And they were wearing these suits of armor, and they had these they're guns, but in the book they're actually flamethrowers. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Never really thought about it too much. And then it wasn't until I was in high school where I went online and I looked up Roughneck's The Starship Troopers Chronicles, and I started watching that, and it said based on the book by Robert Heinlein. I was like, oh yeah, that's based on a book. So I immediately looked it up. I found it at a Borders bookstore. And then my dad and I went to that Borders. I picked up my copy. And I read that. It was my junior year of high school. And I was like, this is awesome. Now, I had to research it because I had to know why the movie and the book were so different. Now, I mean, that happens all the time. Look at every movie adaptation that's based on a book, and more often than not, the movie will be leaps and bounds different from the book. But now that, when I looked into it more, what I found out was Paul Verhoeven, who's a good director, I'm not going to lie, he does solid work. I love RoboCop, Total Recall, both really good films. He only read the first 2 chapters, and then he felt bored and depressed afterwards. And my only response to that is, if there's a story that you're reading and you don't like it, please don't make the movie, because you're just gonna make some fans of the story angry. And once I read the controversial classic of military adventure, I just couldn't watch the movie the same way again, because there's just so many key elements that the book had that the movie just didn't. But you can tell that when the movie was made, there was people who helped write the script who obviously must have read the book at some point. It would have been nice if they would have written the entire script and had more ideas with it, or more people who had more people on board who actually read the entire story. Because in the movie, it's more of a farce type of thing, and it's kind of more of a parody of the book, which you don't see too often as the official adaptation of a story being just a parody of it. It's rare when you see that happen. I'm not sure if that's what he was going for, but it definitely felt like that. I just couldn't shake that feeling off at all, once I rewatched it. And one of the big things that he took out of it was the suits of armor that they used in the book. You know, the Marauder, Scout, and Command suits. They weren't in the movie at all. I mean, they brought them back we'll talk about that. But what happened was he just gave them kind of these really just kind of regular bulletproof suits or whatever. Which I guess that was for the budget, but I don't know, they made the bugs look cool. They could have done something with the armor. And even the bugs were different. The bugs in the book were hive-minded aliens that were going around to planets and taking them over, you see. But in this one, we were there. They were hive mind in this one, but we go to their place and they get all mad, and we wind up getting into a war with them. They attack Earth. And so they changed the bugs around a little bit, and they also left out the skinnies, who start out as our enemies, but then they become our allies in the book. There's just a lot of weird stuff in the movie that they seem to either leave out or just had no interest in explaining. Another minor thing that they did was Johnny Rico, the main character of the story. He is a Filipino in the book, but in the movie they have him as a white person. But in the first adaptation of the story, he was also white, which the original adaptation was actually an anime. If you can find a way to watch it, check it out. It's actually pretty cool. That one, they actually have the suits of armor. It's not that accurate to the story at all, but it's still a solid watch. And even in that, like, the one thing I have to give the movie credit for that the first adaptation didn't have, the first adaptation didn't have the bugs. It had something else entirely, just kind of weird looking squid looking aliens, which was fine. I really didn't care that much. They kept the power armor in, at least, and they also kept some other key story elements in the anime. But the anime really didn't have a lot of action, neither did the book really, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, as the series of movies went on, they seemed to even go farther away from what the book was, which is fine. I don't really care. They're sequels to the movie. After the first movie, it's just like, really, they're not going to adapt the book at all at this point. The second movie, it obviously was being like three other horror. It was like a combination of three horror movies and turned into a spectacular mess, which is a good watch when, I mean, if you have some friends over, you have some beers, check it out. But the third one, this is where I kind of got interested, because things kind of got interesting, because it was called Starship Troopers 3 Marauder. Now, as you know, I said this earlier, Marauder is one of the suits in the story. But here's the thing, there's three suits: Marauder, Scout, Commando. Commando is the most powerful one. Scout is the lightest one, but it's made for, you know, scouting, sniping, things like that. Marauder is the basic. So of the three suits they pick Marauder as part of the title. They could have just called it Starship Troopers 3 and just left that out. But I guess unless you're a fan of the book like myself, you really wouldn't understand that the Marauders are technically the worst in the worst sets of suits. I mean, they're not the worst, but they're the most uninteresting ones, because the Command and Scout suits, they have specific things that are made for them. I don't know, just the way they handle. And the thing is, another thing about that is, they made the suits look weird. Like they didn't even come close to how the book described them as. And like in the book, they kind of look like this, if you can see that. I mean, you can't see the helmet. They're called ape suits for a reason. They kind of look like gorillas. Now in the first movie, they left them out and like to make the people more mobile. But if you read the book, you know that like he explains that like it fits, like you can just move around normally. You know, if you can dance a jig if you want. If you can dance a jig to begin with, and they left him out. And then when they decide to bring him back or bring him in the first place, they make them these ridiculous kind of really weird robotic things. And you know, that's actually a common thing with the Starship Troopers adaptations. Is like in like the video games that they also had like the suits look more robotic and less human, because I don't understand why, because all the suits were made to be like, you know, suits that like suits of armor, like knights that they would wear. You know, you can move around in them. They're not like the loader in Aliens, which I know that took inspiration from Starship Troopers as well, which was kind of weird. But that's just the way it is. Like the Marauder, Scout, and Command suits were all designed for you to be mobile in them. Now, the most accurate design I've ever seen adapted was in Starship Troopers. Well, not really this one. It was actually in Starship Troopers Invasion, but I haven't watched that, so I can't really say how accurate it actually is. None of them haven't even close. I've seen previews for that, but this is the closest I've actually seen is in Roughneck Starship Troopers Chronicles. Now, in the books, they have like powers and stuff like that. Like, you know, they have like rockets, they have, You know, they speed you up. They have flamethrowers. The parachutes. They're really powerful suits of armor. Now, they also kind of have them in the very first adaptation of Starship Troopers, but also not, because like they're more or less just Gundam inspired suits, which Gundam was inspired by Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers, the novel, has had so much inspiration on science fiction, it's not even funny. But it's an anime, so having it be more, you know, aesthetic looking than just, you know, a suit of armor is kind of expected. Like I said, I haven't seen Invasion, so I'm not sure how accurate it is to source material. And they do plan on doing a reboot of the movie. I'm actually very interested in that. I'm not sure if it can, how good it can be. Like, I understand. Like, the book, it doesn't have a lot of action. It's really the beginning, some parts in the middle, and then at the very end is like where all the action segments take place. Like, it's not an action story. It's a military adventure. That's the basic idea of it. It's more or less just, it's about this kid named Juanito Rico, and yes, that is his actual name in the book, but they do call him Johnny. It's about Johnny Rico and his adventure in the military while fighting off an enemy force known as the Bugs. And the Bugs in the book, there's not like a wide variety like there was in the movies. There's just kind of like the warrior bugs, worker bugs, and there's something else. I can't remember exactly how many types of bugs there were. There weren't that many. But the bugs also had weapons and stuff like that. And like I said, they left out the skinnies. The skinnies were brought back in Roughnecks, though. The Starship Troopers Chronicles, which I do recommend checking out. It's actually really cool if you can find it. I got mine for Christmas, which I'm very happy for. The complete campaign, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to finish this. I'm not sure how accurate the video games are to the source material. If they're all based on the, you know, the movie, they're spin-offs of the movie, and the comic books are also based on the movies. They also left out the dogs. I can't believe I got to talk about the dogs. The dogs that they'd have with them, they're like uber powerful dogs too, and they left them out, and it's actually kind of disappointing because like they could probably do some pretty good character stuff with the dogs, even though in the books the dogs kind of die. You just hear about the dogs dying, you never actually see them though. I don't think I would want to see that though, because I'm very attached to dogs. Like, the dogs are like, they are the person's companions. So like how military dogs are today, but they take it to an extreme in the book. Like, if the person, like the soul, if the trooper dies, the dog also has to be put down because of the attachment that the dog will have with the trooper. It's actually kind of incredible. But yeah, I'm actually kind of looking forward to the new adaptation. I don't know when it's gonna come out. Probably not until like 2016. It's like the production project, I think, just started, and like I know a lot of people saying they're losing creativity with Hollywood, but I remember reading a old thing where it said that they wanted to make a new adaptation of Starship Troopers but have it be more accurate to the source material. But I could understand if they wanted to add a bit more action into it, because the book doesn't have a lot of action. It's more or less about Johnny's adventure in the military. So yeah, it's not, the book's not as action-packed as the movie is, and even the movie didn't have that much human versus bug action. It really doesn't start until the first hour in, and when that, like at that hour point, there's only 45 minutes left in the movie, and there's a lot, like, there's a lot of other stuff, but they do pack the action solidly in that, which I do give the movie props for. I will not deny that. So, like, when the action segments come up, they seem to be longer than they are, but there's probably about as much action in the movie as there actually is in the book to begin with, so I don't know. But anyways, that's my kind of rant, and I don't know what you'd actually call it, about the Starship Troopers series as a whole. I would definitely recommend picking up the book if you can find it. It is a really solid read. I actually bought it for my friend for his birthday once. He never read it though, which I know you're watching this. You better be watching this, and you're going to read that book one day. We were in high school. It was in 12th grade, and we are 3 years graduated now. So you better read it, or I'll hurt you. Not really. I love you, dude. I love you, dude. But anyways, yeah. Starship Troopers, great book. Movie was okay, as inaccurate as it was, kind of too liberal for me. Second movie, I don't know how to feel about that. It was a decent horror movie, but like I said, I don't know how to feel about it. Third movie made me want to put two bullets through my head. Haven't seen Invasion. Roughnecks was a great series, and the anime was pretty fun, but took a little too many liberties for the hardcore Starship Troopers fan. Anyways, that's my video. Catch y'all later.